Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studios, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Welcome in, Hunt and Hill on a Thursday for the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio downtown in the capital city. I am Hunt Palmer. He is Hill, the birthday boy, Mr. 3-0. Got Casey Gaines and Taylor Sharp back there on the ones and twos. Happy birthday, sir. How are you?
I'm doing great. Look, my Lakers stink. My Yankees lost game one, but it's my birthday, so we'll have a great show today. We'll have a good day.
There you go. That's a good thing. We will have a great show today. It is a game day for the Black and Gold. We will visit with Luke Johnson coming up in 30 minutes. He is in Phoenix, Arizona for Cardinals and Saints. Nick Suss from the Jackson Clarion Ledger is going to join us in 15 minutes to talk about the Ole Miss Rebels. May dabble with some Pels talk here at the end of the hour, unless there's something else that comes up, but we may, because they looked pretty good last night. We'll give you our Saints and Cardinals preview at the top of hour 2 at 2 o'clock. Want to talk Ole Miss football in the second hour, and of course, as we do every Thursday, best win and worst loss on the board in college football and the National Football League. But now time to kind of dive headstrong into Ole Miss and LSU this weekend. Jeremy, this is the way that as I evaluate the statistics, I've watched a good bit of Ole Miss, and obviously we've seen everything that LSU's done all year. When you're in like 8th grade or you're a freshman in high school and you've got to do the science fair project, you've got your control and you've got your variable. The control obviously stays the same. You put the variable in and you see what happens with the experiment. I believe in this game, Ole Miss to be the control. They are kind of what they are. Every game statistically outside of a little bit of the Vanderbilt game has looked the same. They've been at least 2-1, if not 3-1 run to pass. They've run the football very well behind a good offensive line. Passing offense has been hit or miss, not very good, and their defense has been fine. That's kind of been who they are. LSU has been a roller coaster. They have had halves where their offenses look sensational. They have halves where the offense looks inept. They have a quarterback that can make a lot of plays or can go into a shell. They've got elite guys on the outside. Sometimes they get on the ball and they make plays. Sometimes they do not. The defense at times has been very good, but lately has given up a lot of big plays. I think when the dust settles for this LSU-Ole Miss box score, we're going to look at Ole Miss and say, yeah, they ran it a lot. They ran it pretty well. Their defense was okay. What LSU showed up. So I think LSU is the one who has the chance to play up and win this game. If they play the way they did second half against Florida State, or obviously the way they did in the first half last week, they'll win this game. If they play the way they did at Auburn, they'll lose the game because Ole Miss is solid and will beat them in that way.
Yeah, and I think kind of Ole Miss is kind of dealing with LSU did before that Florida game, and that's waiting for their quarterback to kind of have that breakout big-time performance, and they just haven't had that all year, especially when you kind of look at the turnovers that Dart's had all season. He's thrown 6 interceptions already to this point in the season, and so we just haven't seen that from JD5. But I think anytime you're looking at this Ole Miss team, you got 2 running backs averaging 6 a carry. They're probably top 3 in the country in rushing, so you're going to get a heavy diet of that come Saturday in Baton Rouge. But if you can kind of slow that down and get that version of JD5 we keep talking about, I think it definitely keeps you in this football game, and especially, if you got those weapons on the outside, which we've kind of seen this Ole Miss secondary kind of have those days where they give up a lot of big plays, and we've seen some runners have some big plays against that defense. So I totally agree with you there. If that version of LSU that showed up in Gainesville comes and plays this Saturday, I think they do have an avenue to win this football game.
Speaking of Ole Miss rushing, everybody knows about it by now. Ole Miss runs the ball a lot. They're very good at it. That's common knowledge to the LSU fan. I think going into the statistics a little bit more deeply shows just how well they've run it and how much they have run it, because they've been ahead in a lot of games, and it's what they do. They are 3rd in the country in rushing behind Air Force and Army. They are 1st in the country in 10-yard rushes. They've done that 64 times. They are 1st in the country in 20-yard rushes. They have done that 23 times. They are 5th in the country in rushing attempts. They are 11th in yard per carry. They have the most rushing touchdowns in all of college football. I looked back at in the games they've played thus far. They've beaten Troy, Central Arkansas, Georgia Tech, Tulsa, Kentucky, Vanderbilt, Auburn. It's bad schedule. That's as bad as an SEC West schedule can look at this point in the calendar, period. You can't get any worse than that. You played the worst team out of the East, the worst team out of the West, and a Kentucky team that threw up all over themselves. You have to play a non-Power 5 team, a Power 5 team outside the SEC. They played Georgia Tech, who might be the worst one. This literally, you could not make a worse schedule at this point. But I was curious at how often they've run the ball and how often they've completed passes. You go back to Georgia Tech. They had 62 runs and 12 completions. Go back to Kentucky. 39 runs, 15 completions. Here's the kicker. The Auburn game last week, they had 69 rush attempts and 9 completions. 69-9. And in that they ran it for 6.5 yards per carry. They've run it for better than 5 yards per carry in every game except the Kentucky game that was 4.8. So it's been wildly successful. They haven't had a reason to transition out of it. They've had a lead. They've iced things away. They did throw it a little bit against Vanderbilt because they were behind at halftime, but they ran away from them and scored 52 points in the game. But it's a one-track mind that they've got right now with this running game.
Yeah, and I think anytime you go against a rushing attack of the level of Ole Miss, the last thing you do, it seems like we're on repeat with saying this every game for us, but you saw it on full display last week. You got to start fast, and I think the way they did last week and scoring the amount of touchdowns in a row that they did, it just puts so much pressure on the other team to change their game flow and have to do things that they don't want to do. And this is the exact team you want to do that against and force Jackson Dart to drop back time and time again and force him in third down situations where he has to pass the ball downfield, because I just don't think when you can kind of compare the weapons on the outside, the Ole Miss receivers, they have Mingo, but I think other than that, it's really not much that they have on the outside. So you want them to try to continue to try to pass the ball, especially if you can get a lead early in this game and really try to get Lane to get away from that run game. I think that's also going to help you tremendously in this game to try to win it.
LSU's run defense was pretty good early and has been a little spotty here the last couple of weeks. But I want to try to make as apples and apples a comparison as I can make when talking about this Ole Miss team running against LSU. It ain't Troy. It ain't Central Arkansas. Sorry, it's not Georgia Tech either. It's not Tulsa. It ain't Vanderbilt. And it's really not Auburn, although Auburn should have some functional guys up front. Kentucky is really the only game that I look to and go, okay, what did it look like against a team that knows how to play defense? And Ole Miss ran the ball 39 times for about 5 yards per carry in that game. Pretty good. So, okay, what has Kentucky's run defense done the rest of the year? Well, Florida ran the ball 35 times for 136 yards, 4.5 yards per carry against Kentucky. And South Carolina ran it 42 times in that game for 179, 4.3. And Ole Miss was at 4.8, so just a little bit better than Florida and South Carolina running the football. So it's not as if this is some sort of unstoppable juggernaut. Kentucky pretty much allowed what they allowed against South Carolina and Florida against this Ole Miss running attack. So good, yes. Dependable thus far, yeah. Totally tested, I would stop short of that.
Yeah, they've eaten against a lot of bad rush defenses to start the year, especially when you look at the non-conference and even the teams they played in the SEC other than that Kentucky game. You can run up 6 yards a carry against some of these teams. And when you got backs like Junkins and you got backs like Evans, they're going to make you pay. And they've had some really long touchdowns, which tremendously helps your average. And so I think this will be a real test. I think the environment in Death Valley on Saturday, even though it's not a night game, I think that'll play some dividends in this game. And if you can kind of slow these guys a little bit and make Dart try to beat you with his arm, I think for this LSU defense, who does have the pass rush, I don't think that's something that Ole Miss wants to do this season and drop back. They don't have Matt Corral back there. So get after Dart, force him to get out of that run game, and I think this defense can have a big-time day.
They don't pass it a lot. We know that. I've laid those stats out, and the stats bear it out in terms of sacks as well when you're talking about LSU's pass rush. Ole Miss only allowed 3 sacks in 7 games. That's third best in all of college football. One other thing that I want to touch on here before we get to Nick Suss of the Jackson Clarion Ledger, who will talk more about this Ole Miss team as he covers them for the Jackson newspaper. One of Lane's MOs early on through 2 years at Ole Miss is that he's going to go for a ton of fourth downs. He's going to keep his offense on the field. A lot of it's analytics. Some of it is the fact that his defense was atrocious the first 2 years he was in Oxford. And last year it got a little bit better with time. And this year it seems to be okay, even though they haven't really been tested all that much. These offenses are really, really poor. But they don't go for fourth down that much thus far this year. Only 12 times in 7 games. That's 60th in college football. So we know of the Ole Miss that's just, well, we're going for it. I mean, in Tuscaloosa last year, it was a free-for-all. They were going for everything they could go for. And they're not doing that to this point. Part of that is you're up 42-0 on Georgia Tech, or you're up, 40, you're getting a touch. I mean, you're not in a position where you need to go for it. You can punt the ball away and carry on. 59-3 against Central Arkansas. We're not going for fourth downs, whatever. But it's a little bit of a change with Lane, with not going for it as much.
Yeah, and I think when you have the rushing attack that you do and not the quarterback that you trust back there, you probably don't want to put Dart in those situations where you're going for it just about on every fourth down and going back and forth on your side of the field, which we saw them do against Alabama last year. But I think when you have Corral, quarterback you really trust to either get it with his legs or use his arm, you saw Lane even pulling it out in the read option game. I don't think they trust. I know Dart is at 7 yards a carry right now, but he's nowhere near the runner that Corral was. So I think it's just a lot safer for them when they know they can start the next drive and hand the ball off to Junkins and Evans again, that we don't really have to go for this, especially when you're not putting up so many points or giving up on defense.
I want to remind you all about this early on a Thursday here. Congrats to Lenny Dubuisson of Ponchatoula. He's our Week 7 winner of the 2022 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em Contest. He wins a $50 gift card to Twin Peaks. Don't forget to make your picks for Week 8 by 5 o'clock today. That's the deadline for this week's Pick'em. You can play the 2022 Twin Peaks College Football Pick'em today at 1045 ESPN.com. It's a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill. We're getting along on Jeremy's 30th birthday here. A lot to get to. Luke Johnson from Phoenix coming up in 20 minutes. Saints and Cardinals preview from us at 2 o'clock. And we'll also do our best win and worst loss on the board of college football in the NFL coming up at 2:30. When we come back after this timeout, Nick Suss of the Jackson Clarion Ledger will jump aboard to talk about the Rebs. It's Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Been telling you about One Bath and Closets here for the last couple of weeks, and I know that y'all are going to the website, onebathandclosets.com. I would challenge those who haven't gone to go. I think it's very, very eye-opening when you head over to the website, and they can show you what they can do with some great visual evidence of that. Tub-to-shower conversion's a really cool thing they do. The tub's kind of the centerpiece of the bathroom. You can really modernize your bathroom. If you don't take baths and you just want a really nice shower, they can come in there, take the tub out, and put a really nice glass shower door right there in front of you. They can put in acrylic walls to update a bathroom in as little as 1 to 2 days. This doesn't have to be a 2-month process here. They can knock some of these things out in just a couple of days at One Bath and Closets. David Duvall and his crew have been in business for 30 years, and we want to tell you this. If you need new closet space or an improvement to your closet or just better utilizing the space you've got in your closet, this is not insignificant. 30% off if you tell them Hunt and Hill sent you. 30% off your closet renovation or remodel. And look, depending on the size of this project, that is not an insignificant amount of money. I'm telling you, 30% off at One Bath and Closets if you tell them that Hunt and Hill sent you. So go to onebathandclosets.com, check out the closets, check out the bathrooms, check out David Duvall and his crew at One Bath and Closets, onebathandclosets.com.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Shop, shop, come on, shop, shop, come on, shop, shop. Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shop a style.
Oh, yeah! Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets, from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology, from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
Light beer shouldn't taste like water. Miller Lite has more.
Jimmy Ott and Charles Henniger for the Thursday evening edition of Game Time, presented by Bet Rivers. We're downtown at Jolly Pearl Oyster Bar on North facing Town Square. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m., presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
We'll head out to Phoenix here in 15 minutes, talk with Luke Johnson, who covers the black and gold. But it's Tigers and Rebs on Saturday, 2:30 kickoff inside Tiger Stadium. Nick Suss will be there. He covers the Rebels for the Jackson Clarion Ledger. He joins us now. Nick, thanks for the time. How are you?
I'm doing well, y'all. Thanks for having me back.
Absolutely. It is our pleasure. Paint me the picture in Oxford right now. Just super psyched to be 7-0. All aboard the Lane train, understanding that there's some tough games to come. Where's the Ole Miss Nation at this point?
I mean, all of the above and more. I think you guys are intimately familiar with that constant neurological strain that comes with being an Ole Miss fan sometimes. I think a lot of these people are anxious about the fact that they're happy and happy about the fact that they're anxious. This is only the second 7-0 start since 1962. This doesn't happen very often. People are excited. They think that Lane Kiffin's the future. He's the present. This is a team that's trying to contend for an SEC championship berth, which is something they've never done before. Trying to get back to a second straight New Year's Six bowl, but they also know that their next 4 games are at LSU, at Texas A&M, home against Alabama, at Arkansas, and then of course the Egg Bowl to end the season. There's a lot to think about. There's a lot of optimism and there's a lot of tantalizing nervousness.
Do you personally believe this Ole Miss team is the SEC West, SEC Southeastern Conference college football playoff contender?
I mean, at this point, they just mathematically are. Do I think they've had an easy schedule so far? Yeah, of course. I mean, the toughest team they've played is Kentucky, and that's a good team. But other than that, it's Auburn, Vanderbilt, Tulsa, Georgia Tech, Troy, Central Arkansas. It really hasn't been a tough slate, but they're running for 271 yards a game. They're scoring upwards of 40 points a game at this point. They're gaining more than 500 yards a game, and they have, with the exception of the Auburn blip last week, that we'll see how realistic that is when it comes to affecting the defense. They've played pretty good defense this year too. I think last week was the first time in 14 games they'd allowed more than 30 points. It was the first time in 14 games they'd allowed more than 6 yards per play. They've been playing well defensively. It's just a matter of the one thing that they've been weak at has been containing mobile quarterbacks. And now you run into an LSU team that really is tough to contain with a mobile quarterback.
The LSU team's got some holes. Mobile quarterback, not one of them. Baden Daniels is an exceptional athlete. I look at the statistics, Nick, and I see all the rushing statistics you gave out and the fact that Ole Miss has only allowed 3 sacks in 7 games. Would you call this offensive line elite?
So that's deceptive because they've only given up 3 sacks, but Jackson Dart has been pressured on about 30% of his snaps, or dropbacks rather. He's been pressured a lot. He's just shown a preternatural ability to avoid the pressure, and sometimes it's throwaways, sometimes it's interceptions, sometimes it's making incredible plays. I think he's leading the SEC in that Pro Football Focus metric of big-time throws, but he's throwing the ball like 19 times a game. Mm-hmm. So the pressure metrics are a little misleading. The run blocking metrics are not. This is an absolutely astounding run blocking front, and they're going to create those holes. And I don't know the numbers off the top of my head, but I know it was Florida ran for 210 yards against LSU, and I think Tennessee ran for 262 or something like that. If those are the numbers that pretty good rushing offenses are putting up against LSU's front, that's going to be the one thing Ole Miss has to be licking its chops about. They ran for 448 yards last week against Auburn. If they can get up around 300 again against LSU, they're going to control the pace of the game.
What would you say the temperature from the Ole Miss faithful is with Lane Kiffin when you count in the fact they won 10 games last year? They're starting out this year undefeated, but also he doesn't mind kind of calling out the fans for leaving games early.
I don't think there is a single Ole Miss fan who would want any other coach in the world. I think that Lane Kiffin, there's always the fear, the anxiety about, would he leave for a better job, this, that, or the other. But while he is in Oxford, which I think is probably going to be a little longer than most people are anticipating, but while he is here, he is welcome. If he's criticizing the fans, most of the fans are like, oh, you're right. I mean, he is a say jump how high kind of coach with the success he's had. It's so quick.
Nick Suss, our guest here on Hunt and Hill. Nick, if you're looking for a little LSU color on that, those Florida and Tennessee numbers, Florida ran it okay against LSU, and Richardson busted off an 81-yarder, which was really impressive. Tennessee ran it at will. Whenever they wanted, whenever they wanted, whoever they wanted, ran it wherever they wanted to. It was LSU had no answer for the Vols. As far as this Ole Miss offense goes outside the running game, Jackson Dart in the pass game as well as the receivers on the outside, it's not Matt Corral and company. What does it look like?
Yeah, I mean, Dart has really only been forced to win a game once this year, and it was when they played Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt had a really good comprehensive game plan of stunting and twisting up front to kind of take away rushing lanes. So Dart sat back and threw for 448 yards, and I think it was 4 touchdowns, but what he ended up doing was kind of like what you were alluding to with Florida. He became a big play guy. Jonathan Mingo had 2 70-plus yard touchdowns, and then they had another 40 or 50-yard touchdown to Jordan Watkins. This is still a team designed offensively by Lane Kiffin. They're going to have those big plays. They're going to hit you over the top. And if LSU tries to crowd in and play 7, 8 men in the box, take away Zach Evans and Quinshon Judkins as runners, Ole Miss has the receivers to go over the top. What I don't know if they have is the consistent receiver to catch 8 yards on 3rd and 7, especially with Michael Trigg, the tight end, out. It's going to be tricky if they're in those 3rd and manageables, how they're going to approach the passing game. But if they're able to pass on 1st down, if they're able to take those deep shots, they're going to have the opportunity to hit deep. It's just, I don't know. The pass offense, I'd give it like a B-. They do things well. I think it's been more impressive than I thought it would be. But there's no Elijah Moore, A.J. Brown, DK Metcalf, Laquan Treadwell, etc.
Seems like DJ Durkin did a really good job last year. Obviously moved on to College Station. New man in charge on defense this year. What's the strength of this Ole Miss defense?
The secondary is really excellent. They have, I would argue, the best safety room in the SEC with A.J. Finley, Otis Reese, Tysheem Johnson, Aisheem Young, and Ladarius Tennyson. They have so many safeties that 3 of those guys have to play rock, paper, scissors before every game to decide who gets to start. So the safety room's really good. The cornerback room with DeAndre Prince and then the freshman Davison Igbinosun, they've held up well this year. And when Ole Miss's defense is working, I think they have 47 tackles for loss this year, somewhere around there. They're getting you in 2nd and 12, they're getting you in 3rd and 9, and they're making you try and beat the safeties on 3rd down. Now, when teams have been able to get into 2nd and 6, 3rd and 2, the ability is to get 8-minute drives. Vanderbilt had like an 8.5-minute scoring drive in the 2nd quarter against this team, and that's possible if you're running downhill because the box usually only has 5 or 6 people in it. But if Ole Miss is winning 1st down like they're prone to do, and those edge rushers, Cedric Johnson, Tavius Robinson, Jared Ivey, the nose guards, J.J. Pegues and Katie Hill, if those guys are playing downhill and getting you in the backfield, it's really tough to beat this defense on 3rd down.
When you look at Jackson Dart through the first 7 games of the season, already 6 interceptions through the season already, are you worried if they can't get that run game going this Saturday that he may put the ball in harm's way?
Kind of, but some of those interceptions have been dropped passes that were tipped into the opponent, and some of them have been the absolute worst decisions I've ever seen. So I don't know which to think are him and which to think are not him, but you kind of trust that when he's in the RPO formation, when he's doing basic RPO reads, he's really good at that. What he struggles with is improvisation. When he just decides to get off his back foot and heave it, he makes the mistake more often than not. And that's happened once or twice a game. And I think he has 7 turnover-worthy throws this year, and 6 of them have been intercepted. So if you want to say that that's abnormal, I think Will Levis also has 7 this year. It's not terrible. Maybe defenses are making plays on his mistakes, but I'm also not super confident in his ability to make extremely quick downfield reads when they're not RPOs. I am confident in his ability to evade pressure. I'm pretty confident in his ability to run. He ran for 115 yards last week, but just as a pure drop-back passer, he is far from a finished product.
Nick, last one. Your time much appreciated here on this Thursday. Kicking game for Ole Miss. If it came down to a 42-yard field goal, how would those in red and blue feel?
Pretty good at this point. They have a kicker who, I think he missed one kick this year, but he hit a 50-yarder earlier in the season. He hit a low 40s kick last week. He converted an onside kick last week, which is something you don't often see. He's a grad transfer from Charlotte who Lane Kiffin went out and got because when Kiffin was at FAU, Charlotte beat them on a 52-yard game winner when Cruz was a freshman or sophomore. So he's been there before. He's made the kicks before. He's never kicked in front of 102,000 people like he will on Saturday. But I do think that they are pretty confident in the kicking game right now.
Nick, safe travels down I-55. We appreciate your time.
Thanks, y'all. I'll talk to you soon.
He is Nick Suss of the Jackson Clarion Ledger. Always nice with his time when Tigers and Rebels do battle, whether it's on the football field or on the hardwood or on the diamond, which is going to be a pretty big one this year. The defending national champions and maybe the number 1 team in the country. But a nice picture painted there of these Ole Miss Rebels, and we'll talk a little bit more about them coming up in hour number 2. But now we'll take a timeout. We'll go out west. It's Luke Johnson's in Phoenix covering the Saints. That's next. It's Hunt and Hill.
Hold down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill.
Tip off the Pelican season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. New customers get $150 in free bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. Just sign up with promo code 1045 ESPN at sign up. Plus, all customers get 3 months of NBA League Pass when you make a $5 bet on the NBA, courtesy of FanDuel.
The Pellies, big start for them last night, going toe-to-toe with Brooklyn and really just knocking them out early. They'll head to Charlotte before the home opener on Sundays. You want to bet the Pels, you can do it all season long on the FanDuel Sportsbook. And as Jeremy said, 3 months of NBA League Pass when you make a $5 bet on the NBA, courtesy of FanDuel. Get your winnings paid instantly. That's another great thing with FanDuel. Don't miss your chance to get $150 in free bets and 3 months of League Pass with the promo code 1045 ESPN. Make every moment more with FanDuel, the official sportsbook partner of the New Orleans Pelicans. 21 and present in Louisiana. New customers, first online real money wager, only $10 deposit required. Bonus issues, no withdrawable free bets, expires in 14 days. Existing customers, $5 NBA wager required. Limit 1 pass per customer across both offers. Restrictions apply. Void where prohibited. See full terms with both offers at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're somebody who has a gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP. NBA League Pass. Local blackout restrictions apply.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
I've got that blue sky. I've got that sunshine.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded, because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
ServiceMaster Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact ServiceMaster Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. ServiceMaster Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
Gulf Coast Bank and Trust is giving our customers the power to bank anywhere, anytime during this challenging event. And we're right there with you. Our mobile banking app is a smart way to manage your money.
On Friday's OTB, did the Saints manage to right the ship, or will we be crying Who-Dat tears? Either way, the Pels are there to make you feel better. So come kick off Football Friday with OTB 104.5 ESPN.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Thursday night football had not been a work of art over the last few weeks in the National Football League. Tonight, be a pair of 2 and 4 teams going at it in the desert. Saints, a 2.5-point underdog in Arizona. Luke Johnson is there. Joins us now on the phone line. Luke, how's the desert?
Very hot and dry.
As one might imagine.
You know?
A little different than London, I would imagine. But
I went for a run this morning, and by the time I got back, I just pounded like 40 ounces of water immediately.
You didn't bring the golf clubs out there?
No.
Talking to a man who once brought my golf clubs all the way to Omaha, Nebraska once upon a time, and then LSU went 0-2 and we came home. So no golf for us on that trip. Luke.
Yeah, I remember your lead to that story, by the way. I overpacked.
I overpacked,
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah.
Which was very true. I had about 13 golf shirts, and I wore 2 of them, and then we came home. So that was 2013. Very sad story. So unfortunately, we have to lead here with injuries. It's just a disaster. What do you know about quarterback tonight?
I think it's going to be Andy Dalton. I wasn't able to be there for yesterday's practice because we were already on the way to Phoenix. But just based on the circumstances and it being a short week, they have 10 days to kind of rest and recover after this. It would be surprising to me if Jameis Winston came out and started today. I think you'll still suit up, but I think it's going to be kind of a situation like last week where Andy Dalton is the guy, and then there's a pretty extensive package for Taysom Hill.
Let's go to the secondary next. As far as personnel goes there, what can you tell us?
Well, no Marshawn Lattimore,
right.
But I think for the most part, they have most of their guys, outside of obviously P.J. Williams, who's on injured reserve. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see what they do with Alontae Taylor tonight. I think he played pretty well when he was pushed into duty in week 2 before he landed on IR. He came off. I think he plays tonight. I'm just curious to see whether they put him on the outside and put Bradley Roby back on the inside, kind of where we were anticipating he'd start this season, or if they put Alontae Taylor in the slot, because we haven't seen really any of that in game action this year.
Is Paulson Adebo hurt, struggling, or both?
I'm going to say a little bit of both, but mostly I think just missing about a month of practice time. He got kind of rusty. He had an awesome training camp. Like, he looked like he was like on the verge of becoming a star. And then, it just hasn't been the case since he got back. And I remember his first game, they only played him like 9 snaps, and they were just kind of putting him in like clutch situations. And I asked why, and they said that he had to get like football shape back. So I think he's still going to be pretty good. It just kind of astonished me if an ankle injury just like completely wrecked him as a player. But I think he's got to work his way back to it.
Anytime you're a quarterback and you can extend a play for 20 seconds, that's obviously going to cause a lot of problems for a defense. How confident are you in this Saints defense that they can kind of put a clamp on Kyler's running game and how he extends plays?
Not confident at all until they show me anything about it. I mean, they've absolutely struggled against mobile quarterbacks, and it doesn't really matter who it is, whether it's Marcus Mariota or Daniel Jones or especially Jalen Hurts. It's kind of been their Achilles heel. And considering the defense, I don't think has played even close to expectations this year, especially these last couple of weeks. I got to see it before I believe it. And Kyler is like a completely different animal than anybody else out there. He's so quick. He's one of those guys that just moves different. It's like it doesn't really make sense when you're watching it, but he's just like this little like 5'10" dude, just kind of swarming or weaving through the forest. So I'm not super confident in their ability to kind of keep him contained. And maybe they figure it out, but until they show it to me, I think you just kind of expect them to give up some big plays in that regard.
Turnovers are a chance thing, but I think it does say something about the Saints defense that they only have 1 interception. That's not enough pressure on the passer, not enough guys making plays on the ball. What do you make of that statistic to this point?
Yeah, it's really surprising. This has been kind of an area where they've been pretty good in these last couple of years. But you look at them right now, it's 1 turnover or 1 interception. They have 18 passes defensed, which ranks in the bottom 5 in the NFL. They're top 10 in both categories each of the last 2 seasons. And it goes beyond that. Like, they're not punching the ball out for fumbles either. They've forced and recovered 5 fumbles this year, but only 2 of them were defensive plays. One was a botched snap by Tom Brady. Another one was a punter trying to run with the ball. And then last week, the Bengals punt returner, basically was losing his grip on the ball before he was even touched. It's really concerning. It's concerning across the board. And, I think you're right on something there with the pressure. They rank like bottom 10 in like every advanced pressure metric. They're not knocking quarterbacks down. They're not hurrying them. They're not pressuring them. And, I think that's leading to some of their problems with the ball production on the back end.
Was that the Seahawks punter who's like brain fried in the middle of the punt? Was that he just didn't do anything?
Yeah. Darren Rizzi was like trying. He was like their state special teams coordinator was like trying to explain it. He's like, he's like an Aussie rules rugby guy, and like he does that running punt, and I guess he saw a lane. It's like, he saw a lane, and then like a 270-pound guy who's moving 18 miles an hour closed that in the blink of an eye. It's like that's the dumbest possible thing you could do.
Those lanes close pretty quick in the National Football League, especially for big punters. Okay, I'd forgotten about that play. So as far as the Saints offense goes, you wouldn't figure they had to score too many points. The Cardinals offense has been atrocious all year. But how do they go about scoring points? And I guess it's just got to be a heavy dose of Kamara and Taysom.
Yeah, I think they got to stick with what's been working for them these last couple of weeks. Their run game has been great, and I think that that obviously alleviates some of the pressure off Andy Dalton and that receiver core. They get Chris Olave back, which is really good tonight. But I think they're in trouble if Andy's out there throwing the ball 35, 40 times a game. I think they've got to try to stick with this kind of dominant run game they've had. It's been giving them a chance. And I kind of like their chances to do the same thing against Arizona tonight. Arizona, I think, is coming into this with like a top 10 run defense, but that number is like a big mirage. I think 2 or 3 teams have like averaged like 5 yards a pop against them. I kind of expect the Saints to try to do that whole ground and pound tonight and grind out some long drives and let Andy take his shots where they're available, assuming Andy is the quarterback.
Talking with the coaches and obviously talking with the players, I don't know if you guys have talked with the training staff, but has anyone able to put kind of a nail on kind of this injury bug that's kind of swept this football team for the past 2 seasons?
No, and it's really weird because they made a big change this offseason in their training department, and they brought in Matt Ray from Alabama, and the whole thing was this guy had like cut down on soft tissue injuries for Alabama for 2 years, and they were really like excited about this new training program that is implementing, and then they go out there and all these injuries they have are not soft tissue injuries. I don't think their training staff has anything to do with Jameis Winston breaking 4 bones in his back, or a couple guys having turf injured ankles. It's been really, really weird. And for 2 straight years, all these offensive injuries are just like decimating their offensive side of the football. I wish I had an answer for you, but like it's just sometimes the injury bug really bites hard, and for the Saints, that's really been the case these last couple of years.
I use air quotes here because you're never really off, but an off weekend here. Any chance you're in Tiger Stadium on Saturday, the Blender on Sunday?
Definitely going to the Blender on Sunday. Okay. I don't think I'm going to go to the game on Saturday because we don't get back to like late Friday night, and I just kind of want to sit in front of a TV and watch football all day. So one day, though, I'm going to make it back up to Baton Rouge. I haven't been to a game since the 19th season, so not in Tiger Stadium.
We hadn't really won very many games.
But I didn't even get to go to a good game. I got to see him just like destroy Jordan Love for 3 quarters, and at like 10 o'clock in the morning. So it's going to happen at some point. I just don't know when it's going to be.
All right, enjoy the football tonight, Luke. Safe travels home. We'll do it next week.
Sounds good, guys.
He is at by Luke Johnson on Twitter. Luke Johnson covers the Saints for The Advocate. We appreciate his time each and every Thursday. Look, I'm not ready to throw dirt on the Saints season yet, and I'm not even going to use the Moscona term that the season is over if they lose. 2-5 is atrocious, and the Cardinals aren't that good. We're going to talk about this game in 20 minutes at the top of the next hour, and kind of what we think about it. But they need to win the game.
Yeah, no, it's 2-5 is just. And more you look at kind of even the NFC, and maybe there's other teams losing, but as a football team, as a player, you never want to be walking in that building, 1-4 or 2-5. Now we're 3-7, and it's just like it just makes that mountain so much harder to climb. But when you can kind of scrap back and get to 500 and set yourself up on a charge to make a run to have a winning record, I think it just makes everything feel better. The food tastes better. Everyone's just in a greater mood, and everything's just different for the Saints. So I think in a chance opportunity on national television in front of the country to play well and get a win and get back onto their winning ways, I think that's going to be huge for this football team.
We'll talk about Saints and Cards at the top of hour number 2. Still some LSU Ole Miss to get to at 2:15. Specifically with Ole Miss's run game, their creativity, and how much Matt House can kind of curb that because he is actually a linebackers coach and is responsible for that unit. So that'll be coming up at 2:15 for you. We'll come back and close out hour number 1 next. It's Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Ford, check out the website, BayouFord.com. Always thrilled to tell you all about the service department over there at Bayou Ford. They just bring convenience to a whole nother level. No matter where you live in our listening area, if you want to have that car service and don't want to spend all day sitting around waiting for somebody to fix your car, which happens far too often, they will bring a loaner to you, allow you to get on with your day, and they will bring your car all the way back to the dealership, service it, and drive it right back to you. You never miss a beat on your day. Convenience is the name of the game up there at Bayou Ford, and their service department certainly puts that to the test.
Yeah, head over to BayouFord.com. They got a new specials tab that updates daily. It completes with a photo of the vehicle, the savings you could score, as well as a video profiling the vehicle and all of its features. Don't see anything you love? That's okay. Keep coming back because those deals will update on the site as Bayou Ford rolls them out. It's all right there at Bayou Ford.
Website's awesome. Can't tell you enough to go to the website. They have their specials up there. They've got the inventory up there. They've got their service. You can do a lot over there on the website. So if you're in the market for a new car, check out the website, BayouFord.com, where they're going to do right by you.
Professional golfers John Peterson and J.J. Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
Le posso offrire un caffè? Le posso offrire un caffè? Andiamo insieme da me, non c'è.
Call Mr. Electric today for electrical repairs, upgrades, and installations.
They said I was small, weak, said my heart wasn't strong enough. But I showed them what heart looked like, again and again and again. Mom got me the right care, the right doctors with Blue Cross coverage. Don't let people tell you who you are. Show them the right card, the right care.
We get it done with strength, commitment, dedication, grit. We get it done with passion for our fans and love for our community. We are the Tigers. Get it done.
Let the values of the purple and gold be in your starting lineup this season. And as always, get it done.
Bayou Ford has $10,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 60 months on new 2022 Ford F-150s. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou Ford is going to do right by you.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli?
I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you were born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
You want cheese on your burger, Pops?
I'll take a little cheese.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST.
NFL is back. Our coverage starts Sunday at 10 a.m. with Magnolia Bluffs Football Sunday with Jimmy Ott, immediately followed by the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts at noon, right here on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing out hour number one here on a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill. Appreciate Nick Suss and Luke Johnson for jumping aboard. Nick Suss on Ole Miss and Luke there on the Saints. Pels got off to a really impressive start last night, Jeremy. It's one game out of an 82-game NBA slate. I think to jump to any massive conclusions would be foolish. However, they have all the parts they were intended to assemble here. They're not dealing with massive injuries right this second. And they came out, made a lot of jump shots early, and just beat the brakes off of a full-strength Nets team that had Kevin Durant rolling in the second quarter, that had Kyrie out on the floor, that had Ben Simmons out there for a little bit. And it was an impressive performance. And for the guys, the people around here who are big-time Pels fans that want to see that team do well, are very interested in them, I was happy for them because everybody was really happy last night. You get what feels like a game you really should win against Charlotte coming up, and then you got a sellout coming in the blender on Sunday, which is a really nice deal.
Yeah, it wasn't really great for me. I just keep getting it rubbed in. No, we're so good. We're taking your pick. The Pels are back. Your
Sounds
Lakers
like Mario
stink.
Perez to me.
Yeah, just blowing my phone up with the tweets, the Twitter fear. It's just a tough time for me right now. But for the Pels fans, things couldn't be better. I think you got a healthy Zion out there. B.I. looks to be every bit of an all-star. And then you got that veteran presence in C.J. who can always end a scoring streak from the other team and kind of settle things down. And I think anytime you have a great balance of older and younger players, those are the type of teams that can really make charges deep in the season. And so, yeah, for the Pels, as much as it pains me to say, they're a team you're going to have to look out for.
Look, you said it yesterday. I rolled my eyes, but Skip Bayless is all about the Pels. He loved it. Bill Simmons said the Pels are going to go 75-7 or whatever he said yesterday. You had a couple other people tweeting about just how good these Pels looked, and it was a pretty rough rebuild there. And you realize you had a run there, and it really wasn't a run, but it was a stretch of time where you had one of the best players in the league who wanted to go somewhere else, and that's a really frustrating thing for a small market. But you've got to turn it around and make something of it. It appears the BI trade is a huge hit. They were able to take some of those assets and eventually land C.J. McCollum, and you got the lucky bounce, and you got Zion Williamson as the first pick, and he showed up, and all the comments that have been made about him over the last 3 years, and they were all pretty warranted based on the fact that he may have been out of shape, the fact that he was hurt, the fact that half the time they didn't know where he was, it felt like, and there was no comment on where he was or what was going on. But he looks the part of a guy who is, one, an exceptional player, and two, looks really happy in his press conferences, and three, somebody put a picture on Twitter earlier today. It's like Zion's got the ball in the block, and he's isolated there, more short corner than block, but either way, he's got the ball near the baseline, and everybody on the floor around him can bury a three. And so you just have to be very hesitant in sending a bunch of help over there. And if you don't help on Zion, there just aren't that many guys who can handle him coming downhill at the bucket. And that's why he played a great game last night, and it's going to be tough for people to deal with them.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen teams kind of replicate that. You think of those old Orlando Magic teams. They surrounded Dwight with a bunch of shooters.
Rashard Lewis?
Yeah, they had Rashard, Turkoglu, Resicu, Jameer Nelson, all those guys. And then you kind of look at the Bucks of what they're doing with Giannis and, surrounding Giannis with all shooters so he can attack the paint whenever he wants. And if you help too much, you can swing it out to the shooters. And I think Willie Green's done a great job of that with Zion. I know they're going to put Valanciunas out there with him sometimes, but when they go to that small ball lineup and Zion has nothing but shooters around him, he's so explosive. You have to help him. He's on the glass. He's just a very, very difficult player to deal with when you pair his weight and his strength and his athleticism. So, yeah, for the Pels, things are looking good. I think staying healthy is going to be a big part of this whole thing because if they can keep this roster, healthy, they're going to shock a lot of basketball teams this year with all the talent that they have.
Dustin Blanchard, the Bayou 4 chat, said this team can easily win 50-plus if they stay relatively healthy. I will say this. When I was reading that in the chat and we were talking, I thought it said 60-plus, and I was going to go, wait a second, that's a lot. But 50-plus, yeah, they can win 50 games. I mean, I think that's absolutely realistic. And, again, you almost have an ideal start here where you go play a high-profile game that a lot of people are watching last night if you're a big NBA fan, and they blew the doors off the Nets literally from start to finish. There was at no point in the game where the Pelicans not in total control other than a little KD flurry there in the second quarter. But other than that, it was total control. Then you go play a pretty poor Hornets team, we think. I mean, I'm not an NBA savant, but I don't think they're going to be great. And then you come home, and oh, by the way, you come home on a Sunday where the whole city's usually up in arms on Sunday, but the Saints aren't playing. So if you're going to do something on Sunday in New Orleans, like we were just talking to Luke, he's definitely going to the blender on Sunday. So that's a really cool start to the season for the Pels. And I hope they get a lot of momentum. Again, they're not going to steal my heart one bucket at a time, but it's cool for the city if the Pels get rolling because the NBA is a fun product to watch when you've got a good team.
No, it is. And I think for the Pels fans, especially when you kind of go that Chris Paul era, the way things ended there, you saw the way the 80 era ended there, and then now you're opening a new genesis for this Pelicans franchise, and that's with a lot of young talent and with Zion Williamson, who a lot of people thought probably wouldn't sign this rookie extension. So I think getting everything back in order, getting Zion healthy, getting that team that really should challenge it and really be a tough seed and a top seed in the Western Conference, I think the city of New Orleans and all Pels fans are excited to get that going.
I vow this. I will go to a Pels game this year. I have not been since probably 2018, maybe 2019. I will go see the Pels play a game this year inside the blender because I do like the sport, and they're fun to watch. Zion's fun to watch. B.I. is fun to watch. McCollum can get grooving. I don't know if out-rebounding a team by 20-plus is super exciting to watch, but they sure as hell did that last night against Brooklyn. And Brooklyn may be a little bit dysfunctional. It's just KD's awesome. Kyrie's a really, really good player. Simmons just kind of seems like a man without a country. I mean, it's everywhere he goes. It just doesn't really seem to work.
Yeah, I mean, and I think he's paying far too much attention to the noise. I think anytime you kind of have a season like you had last year where people really thought you were fully healthy and you just decided not to play basketball for whatever reason, and then you come out here and have one of those all-time Draymond numbers, triple singles. Nothing in double digits. You go 0 for 2 from the free throw line, and it's just like, man, I guess the best thing for him, just focus on basketball, try to cut that outside noise out and really try to help your team. I mean, you're getting paid $27 million plus a season to play basketball, and putting up those type of numbers, I don't think you should be putting too much more attention to what the outside noise is saying.
I wouldn't disagree with that very much at all. All right, that's hour number 1 here. If you missed any of it, you can catch it on demand, 1045ESPN.com, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube. Those of y'all hanging out in the Bayou Ford chat, we would love it if you threw us a like. If you find us on one of the other platforms, like, subscribe, comment, rate. We always appreciate all of that. Helps us out a great deal. Open this first hour up talking about LSU and Ole Miss. Certainly the Ole Miss run game was a big part of that discussion. Nick Suss from the Clarion Ledger shed a little bit more light on Lane Kiffin's Rebels at 1:15. Luke Johnson at 1:30 talking Saints. Hour 2 is coming at you. We have Jeremy's thoughts on Ole Miss's run game and how creative that it is. Our best win and worst loss on the board in the NFL and college football. When we come back to kick off hour number 2, we will chat about Saints and Cardinals that's going down tonight. So don't go anywhere. We'll have Sports Center. Hope your Thursday is going well. Back on the other side, it's Hunt and Hill.
Bayou Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram has $11,000 off MSRP plus 2.9% for 72 months on all new 2022 Ram Black Widow trucks in stock. All new Bayou vehicles come with a 1 million mile powertrain warranty and free delivery. If you need sales or service, the crew at Bayou is going to do right by you.
Three people walk into a bar. The first two order the same old marks. The third, Nuevo Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer. Crafted with real lime juice and a crisp tequila flavor. Topo Chico Margarita Hard Seltzer.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com so we can drive your message to where the people are.
Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shopper style.
Oh, yeah! Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
There's nothing better than tailgating, but it can be a lot of work. So why do it yourself when you don't have to? Let Revelry Sports and Entertainment set up your luxury tailgate on campus. Order what you want and just show up to party. Book your tailgate today at revelryteam.com. Revelry Sports, the official tailgate partner of LSU Athletics.
This is SportsCenter.
I'm Doug Brown. Game 2 of the ALCS tonight in Houston. The Astros took Game 1 against the Yankees. 7 Eastern for the coverage here on ESPN Radio and the ESPN app. Framber Valdez starts for Houston. Luis Severino for New York. It's an off day in the NLCS. The Padres and Phillies tied at 1. Game 3 tomorrow night in Philadelphia. Week 8 in the NFL kicks off tonight in Glendale with the Cardinals hosting the Saints. Our Keyshawn Johnson says Arizona coach Cliff Kingsbury is in over his head.
I'm not calling for the man's job. It ain't my job to call for his job. But I do know that Steve Wilkes, black or white, got fired after 1 year. You never gave him an opportunity that you've given Cliff Kingsbury, sitting at 26, 28, and 1. And you extended him another 5 years at close to $6 million a year.
Keyshawn Johnson on KJ and Max. Jets wideout Elijah Moore missed practice today with a family issue. But ESPN's Rich Cimini reports the actual reason could be that Moore is not happy about his role in the Jets offense.
How would you love a chance to save some money on car insurance? Geico can help. Switch today and see all the ways you could save with great rates and discounts. It's easy. Simply go to geico.com to get a rate quote and get started seeing how much you could save. 1, 2, 3.
Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill, holding down the middle of the day. Live from the Mercedes-Benz of Baton Rouge studio, it's Hunt and Hill. Now on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hour 2 on a Thursday, Hunt and Hill. Glad you're spending it with us. Game day for the Houdat Nation. The Saints will be on Amazon Prime tonight against the Arizona Cardinals. A pair of 2 and 4s going at it. Jeremy, are the Thursday night games as difficult as they are made out to be by the media for the players?
Oh, they stink. They stink. People don't realize you're literally putting your body on the line on Sunday, and then you're asked to turn it around in 3.5 days. Sometimes you play a night game, and then you got to play on a Thursday. Then sometimes you're on the road on Thursday, so you got to leave Wednesday. It's just a lot on your body in a short turnaround, and it's a very, very physical, violent sport. And when you're just getting hit on the body like that in 4 days, I mean, we just kind of saw what happened to Tua. It's not the greatest thing in the world. So, yeah, it sucks for the players. But, hey, fans are tuning in. But it seems like not this year because the Thursday night football just has not been good.
It's been very bad, to be quite honest. It's been really bad. And I did not watch either of the last 2 that were awful, and nobody could score a touchdown. So I have not. But I will watch tonight. And, look, the Cardinals are not good. The Saints to this point are not good either, but the Cardinals are not good. And Kyler Murray has not been good. The Cardinals are dead last in the NFL in yards per attempt passing. They got off to that 8-0 start last year, and since then they've been a poor football team. And you've pointed consistently to not having DeAndre Hopkins, who does return tonight, and that's a big deal. But Hollywood Brown is out, and they've had Hollywood Brown and Ertz and some of these guys who can make plays, and they haven't been good on offense. I mean, look, they were down 37-7 to Kansas City through 3 quarters. They scored 12 points on the Rams. They scored 17 on the Eagles. Seattle is atrocious on defense. We saw them coming to the Superdome. The Saints were going up and down the field. Taysom was running wind sprints. They scored 9 on Seattle. That's awful. And if you look at the Raiders game, the Raiders were up 20-0 on the Cardinals at halftime. So they really haven't done anything to this point that would suggest that they're a potent offense. Now, the Saints defense hasn't been what we thought it would be, but this is not a very good Cardinal offense that they're playing tonight.
No, it's not. And I think, to me, I know I mentioned DeAndre Hopkins a lot, him being out of that lineup, but I think the huge dip in their run game. James Conner, who led the NFL in touchdowns last season, he only has 1 touchdown to this point.
I know he's on my fantasy team. I'm well aware that he has 1 touchdown.
Yeah, so I think that's a big factor in kind of the success of that offense. I know we always talk about that air raid, pass it, but in this league, you can't be one facet unless you got a guy like Mahomes or Allen back there. And I don't think Kyler's to that level where he's a top 5 quarterback in this league, especially when you take away his number 1 option. And so if you're the Saints, like, you shut down the run game, make sure Kyler's not killing you with his legs, and you force that bad offensive line to have to pass protect time and time again, you should be able to get after him. He's been sacked 13 times already. And I think, really just watching him sometimes, he just doesn't look comfortable back there, and he's fumbled the ball a few times this year as well. So if you're the Saints, continue to shut that run game down, get after Kyler, and force some of these receivers who really haven't shown much. And I know for Hopkins, this is his first game back, so you think he have to take a little while to get his legs underneath him, and so I think all that kind of tilts in the Saints' favor.
I don't want to overstate this, but I want to make the point that we know the Saints have struggled with mobile quarterbacks. This mobile quarterback is not like the other mobile quarterbacks, and Luke talked about that. Lamar Jackson and Jalen Hurts are great runners as quarterbacks. They've got good speed. They can make you miss at times, and they run the ball very well. Kyler is a water bug. I can't think of another quarterback with the quickness, elusiveness, and then at times really good speed as well. You made a point about when he extended the play for 20 seconds and ran for a touchdown. I can't think of anybody who's played the NFL position quite like him. And so to say, yeah, take that away sounds good, but eventually you've got to try to go get it. And I don't know of anybody on the Saints defense. I feel great about tackling him one-on-one in space. I don't know of any defensive players I feel great about like dealing with his quickness and shiftiness. This ain't Jalen Hurts at 220 pounds that you kind of meet in the hole and brace for a collision. This is like, how do I get a hand on this guy?
Yeah, no, he's definitely an interesting quarterback when you think about just his ability to extend plays, just how quick he is. I think maybe not a 4.3 guy, but you talk about short area quickness. I can't think of a quarterback like it.
Yeah.
Lamar Jackson has that long speed, but as far as 5 to 20 yards, he can really ratchet it up to 20 miles per hour quicker than anybody you've seen. And so when you think about that Saints defensive line with
it's like Darren Sproles playing quarterback.
Yeah, literally. So you think about those kind of older edge rushers and Cam Jordan and some of those guys, and you imagine them trying to get Kyler on the ground in open space. That's going to be a difficult task to do. So I kind of think for the Saints, they probably – I don't know if you spy him. Who do you spy? Pete Warner on him? Like, what guy do you have that can kind of, you feel great about kind of, shutting him down in the open space? But, I mean, you've seen teams do it all year. It's just as electric Kyler may be. They just haven't played well, and he hasn't been able to use his legs at a high enough clip to really lift this team over the top. So if you're the Saints, you kind of hope you get that version of Kyler and not the one you kind of saw in that Raiders game where you come down from 20 and try to find a way to win the football game.
So that's a look at the Cardinals offense, which may not have James Conner, which will not have Hollywood Brown, which will have DeAndre Hopkins, and, of course, Kyler Murray. And they have not been good. I gave you the stats there. Now, the defense for Arizona has been good since the opener. Kansas City scored 44 on them. They blew them off the field. But since then, you held Vegas to 23 and really had a pick 6 in that game. So you held Vegas under 20. The Rams came in. You held them to 20. Cup did nothing against you. Held Carolina to 16. Okay, Carolina's not very good. Held Philly to 20. They've been scoring on people.
Mm-hmm.
And you held Seattle to 9, which I don't care who it is. I don't think Seattle's great. But hold anybody or you held them to 19. Sorry, you hold anybody to 19. Mm-hmm. That's pretty good as well. So, they've been really good on the defensive side of the football, and the Saints have had their struggles on offense. Save a nice job against Seattle. So, how do you feel the Saints offense performed tonight against a good defense?
Yeah, I think it's going to have to kind of be very similar to what you did the past few weeks, and that's get Alvin Kamara going, feed Mark Ingram, and mix Taysom Hill in the run game as well, and really kind of let that be your charge for this football team. I think the passing attack, it just hasn't been what you want to see. You had that nice burst against the Falcons late in the game, but past that, it's just really
that's an aberration. Mike Thomas went nuts, and they may have been in preview, and I don't think they're very good. So I'm not. I can't give you much credit for that.
Yeah, exactly. So when you kind of look at the whole totality of the season, they really haven't been able to depend on their passing attack. They had some good times in in that Vikings game, but they weren't able to get 6 out of it, forced to kick field goals out of those drives. So I think for the Saints, you got to just, feed Kamara, feed Ingram, get Taysom going in his packages and what he can do well, and try to attack this Cardinals defense that way, because I just don't trust them dropping back the traditional way and trying to find a way to win this football game.
Especially with that wide receiver core. I think Olave is going to be back in this one, and you got to count on the guys that are lesser known and lesser proven commodities, your Traquans and your Marquez Callaway. And I mean, it's just not what you wanted when you showed up here and thought you had one of the top 3 or 4 wide receiving cores in the league. But it sounds like Andy Dalton is going to play, and you got to get some of those guys the ball. My thing is, and it's not as if the Cardinals don't know this, so this is not exactly breaking news, but the best player on the field is Kamara. Some way to get him the ball in some space, get him some screens to slow down that Cardinal pass rush, get him the ball between the tackles and see if you can't open something up. I know Andrews Pete's not playing, but is that a huge loss? I don't know. But you got to get the ball to 41. He's got to touch it 23, 24 times in this game.
Yeah, no, he definitely does. I think, especially when you've seen them have the success. I mean, he was a yard away last week from 100 yards. So that's the guy you want to be feeding the ball to. I think more in the passing game than we've kind of seen, especially when you kind of look at this passing attack and kind of what they've done over the whole season. So that can be a boost to your passing game, whether it's him running out the backfield with some running back routes or just getting the ball quick to him in the screen game and seeing what he can do, because we've seen him make magic that way too. So I suspect a heavy dose of Alvin Kamara in this football game, because if you don't see that, I think it's going to make that offense really, really struggle to sustain drives.
Gotta be. We'll see tonight. We'll give a pick at the end of the show for that. When we come back, got a running back here, so might as well talk about Ole Miss's running game. I'm fascinated by the way that Lane Kiffin has gotten things moving when I see guys who know far more than me break down X and O's. We'll talk about that with Jeremy next. It's Hunt and Hill.
Hunt Palmer and Jeremy Hill. It's Hunt and Hill.
Start NFL Week 7 off with a no-sweat same-game parlay from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. It doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account. You'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same-game parlay doesn't hit. NFL same-game parlays are the perfect way to combine your bets for a chance for an even bigger payday.
Look, you can bet this game any which way if you're a black and gold fan. Kyler Murray over the passing yards if you're not feeling great about the Saints. Alvin Kamara over the rushing yard total if you are feeling really good about the Saints. You can combine those with a parlay on the Hoodats plus 2.5 on the money line. The Saints are coming back $1.16, so check that out. You can build your own or choose one from the popular same-game parlays that are pre-built for you in FanDuel's top-rated sportsbook app. So however you want to play, you can bet the NFL on Thursday night with a no-sweat same-game parlay. Sign up with that promo code 1045ESPN if you don't already have an account. If you already do have a FanDuel account, you're all set. Sign up and see what you got. Make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana, 3+ legs, minimum $1 bet required. Refund issues and non-withdrawable free bet. Expires 7 days after receipt. Max bet $5. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're somebody who has a gaming problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
Our listeners fire off their opinions on the jimsfirearms.net hotline at 499-1045. Keep listening for your next chance to shoot us your thoughts with the jimsfirearms.net hotline on 1045 ESPN Baton Rouge.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals. But many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy. Auctioneer Baton Rouge, innovating healthcare for Kelly.
Service Master Elite create clean, disinfected work environments. As a local business, we take pride in serving the New Orleans and Baton Rouge areas. Our cleaning protocols follow CDC and OSHA standards for healthcare settings, offices, senior living, restaurants, and industrial plants. Contact Service Master Elite to get your operation ready for reopening with germ disinfection cleaning. Service Master Elite, the trusted choice in professional cleaning since 1996.
It's no secret. The best oysters in Baton Rouge are at Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar. Enjoy mouth-watering South Louisiana flavor and oysters from all over the country. And don't forget our nightly drink specials. Jolie Pearl Oyster Bar, located in downtown Baton Rouge.
Eli's always been into grilling. It took us a while to see it, but the signs were there.
What are you doing, Eli? I knew grilling was my thing. I have been talking about it throughout my career.
Happy with the results?
I am. Got the new grill from barbecueguys.com. It performed great.
My advice, as I always told my boys,
do more of what you're born to do.
Barbecue Guys, for those who were born to grill.
Matt Moscona inviting you to join us for Thursday's AFR, presented by the Aesthetic Medicine and Anti-Aging Clinics of Louisiana. It's game day. We're previewing Saints at Cardinals. Ryan Clark will join us, our Fantasy Blitz. It's Thursday, 3 to 6, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Thursday edition, Hunt and Hill. Hunt Palmer, Jeremy Hill with you. Thanks for making us part of your Thursday. Jeremy, LSU ran the ball a lot when you were here, right?
Yes, a lot.
Would you call it creative?
If you consider two plays creative, yeah, sure.
Okay, well, that's not that creative. And as I say 3 times a week, I'm not the X's and O's guys, but I did see a couple of breakdowns from Jordan Rogers on the SEC Network about the things that Lane Kiffin is able to create in the run game that opens up huge holes and allows them to be as consistent as they have been on the ground. And a lot of it had to do with the keys linebackers are reading and with pulling guys to one side and then running out the back end of the other side and just using misdirection, ball handling, and manipulating linebackers' eyes that allow them to open up the run game. What do you see when you're watching Ole Miss run the football?
Yeah, you're going to see a guy going in jet sweep motion probably a lot more than you see with a lot of other football teams. And a lot of times they'll flip it out to those guys. They'll run the RPOs behind those guys. And a lot of times it just creates those linebackers to pause their feet instead of coming downhill. And when you got backs like Judkins and Evans and you're giving those guys a full head of steam, one step the wrong way, they're at the second level. And so, and they have an offensive line that gets a hat on the hat. That's something that you hear any offensive coordinator talk about in the run game. You want to get a hat on those 7 guys in the box, and you can do that. The back's going to take the rest of it. And so anytime you got a quarterback, too, who can pull it out and get 7 yards of carry, it just creates a whole world of things you have to worry about as a defense with talented backs. It's just very difficult to deal with.
What is a linebacker looking at pre-snap and then at the snap? Are they looking at you, the running back, or they're okay? They got their eyes on the line of scrimmage.
Yeah, well, they have gaps. So every linebacker has a gap. There's going to be every gap assigned. That normally the end's going to have the outside gap. You know, the tackle, if it's a nose tackle or 3 tackle. Sorry, getting a little advanced for y'all, but normally the tackles have their gaps in the inside, and then the linebacker just fills the other gaps. And great run defense, everyone stays in their gap, and there's normally nowhere to go. And a lot of times for this Ole Miss team, they're getting you out of your gaps. They run those counter plays in there. They run the downhill inside zone right at you, and then they have those jet sweep motions that you have to respect because they'll flip it out to those guys or they'll hand those off too. So everyone has a gap, but sometimes when you get undisciplined and you say, oh, well, maybe the jet sweep guy's getting, oh, no, quarterback pulled it, and then, oh, no, the back's getting it. So there's so many things you got to deal with as a linebacker rather than just kind of sticking to your gap, and that's why you see their running attack so successful this season.
And obviously, the defensive front has got to do its job in holding up at the point of attack. And then the linebackers have got to flow to the football and fill those gaps and make the plays. I think one of the guys who maybe the guy with the biggest job in the entire building this week is Matt House. Because, 1, he's a defensive coordinator who's getting this team ready to play defensively. But 2, he's the linebackers coach and has been the linebackers coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, and that's his spot. So If you got one guy in the room that you think is the smartest, that's why you bring him in to coordinate the entire defense. You would think that LSU's linebackers would be very well coached and should be in position more often than not. Do you think that matchup, I don't want to say it favors LSU, but do you think that's a big help to this team to have Matt House as a linebackers coach against a team that's going to try to run the football 55 times?
Yeah, no, you definitely want to have a guy like that to really kind of beat down the throat of these linebackers to just stay disciplined. And it's so hard sometimes when there's so much misdirection stuff and guys going this way, guys going that way to kind of take the eye candy. And that's kind of what Lane wants you to do. And that's why I think he's one of the better play callers, because he puts so much pressure. And you want a team that's really one-dimensional, even though the schedule's not world-beating schedule. You're playing the 5-team, the 2-team this week, but that running attack is very, very difficult to deal with because they're not doing the toss dive special and the lead week special every single play. It's misdirection. It's guys getting the ball, quarterback pulling, and then they'll mix the RPOs and throw it right behind your head if you come downhill too much. So I think a lot of credit to Lane, but I think a coach like Matt House, who you've seen have some success stopping the run this season, you definitely need a guy like that to kind of keep these guys disciplined and assignment sound.
One thing for me, and this may be trying to read too much into it, maybe a coincidence, but it makes sense to me if I connect the dots, is I'm going to credit the scheme and the execution by the offensive front. When you've got two backs in Quinshon Judkins and Zach Evans, and they're basically the same guy. Judkins averages 5.9 yards per carry. Evans averages 6.1. They both essentially average right at 6 yards per carry. Judkins has 10 touchdowns. Evans has 7. Judkins' long run of the year is 48. Evans is 46. It's not like they've got one bell cow back who's making three guys miss and break. He doesn't look like Leonard Fournette in the Auburn game in 2015, where he's just tossing people all over the place like rag dolls and making plays on his own. These are running backs who are plenty talented, but they're the same guy when they're in there, and that's because the plays are run correctly, the scheme is good, and the offensive line's doing their job, and those guys are just getting what's there, and it comes out to exactly the same play.
Yeah, it definitely does. And I think, as much as you give Lane credit and kind of just the play call and all that stuff, but these two guys are two guys you don't want to get into the second level because they're very, very difficult to get down on the ground, and they have sneaky speed. I've seen both of these guys break away on touchdowns against SEC opponents. You saw the big one against Kentucky. You saw multiple big ones against Auburn, and these guys are guys you definitely have to pay attention to because once they get ahead of steam rolling and they get to the second level, you got to look out because we kind of just saw Richardson do that last week, and you don't want to give these two back those kind of same opportunities to kind of do big-time damage because that's what's going to unleash this Ole Miss rushing attack, and then you got to start worrying about the RPO. So you got to shut down those two runners or it's going to be a long Saturday for the Tigers.
You can do that. You can get them in third down. They don't have the explosive playmakers at wide receiver they've had in the past. And as Nick Suss told us in hour number 1, they've struggled to protect the passer. He says that the numbers in terms of sacks are deceptive. They're third in the country in sacks allowed. They've only allowed 3 all year, but he said they've allowed pass rush on 30% of their passes, which is not great in terms of relative to the rest of the conference. So you let Ojulari and Gay and some of those guys on the interior get after a 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, all of a sudden you flip it on them, and now you got the advantage out there on the field. You let them into 2nd and 2 all day, you're going to have big problems. And so as far as LSU's linebacking crew goes, we're talking about that, you figure you'll see Penn, figure you'll see Baskerville, you figure you'll see Perkins. What's their role?
Yeah, I think you're going to kind of continue to see what this team's done all year. I mean, I just want to see Baskerville and Perks out there. Like, just leave them out there. When they get tired, give them a little tap on the head, get a break, and go back in there again. But they're going to rotate. You're going to see Penn. You're going to see Weeks. You're going to see Baskerville. You're going to see some of those other guys in there. So they're going to rotate. And so they're going to keep fresh bodies out there. They're going to rotate and see what these guys can do. And I think they may have some third down packages for Ole Miss when it's obvious pass situations to 3rd and long. So we'll see what they do. Kind of, I think it's just hard for me as a player when you're in and out of the game to kind of get the flow of the game, the rhythm. You're seeing all these plays multiple times because Lane will run the same plays again and then kind of mix a little misdirection off some of the same stuff he's running. So when you're in and out of the lineup, it's just hard to get that game flow and feel for the game. But, I mean, that's what they want to do this year, and I think that's what you're going to see again on Saturday.
I had another point, but I want to go piggyback off that. One of the things that I can also pick up as a viewer is, and this is last week, Dan Orlovsky talking about this on the broadcast. He said, I really think that Lane Kiffin doesn't necessarily look at the result of the play when Ole Miss runs one. He looks at what the defense does when he does that. And because of that, you'll see some things that look a little odd that work for big plays. Like last week against Auburn, they ran a jet motion and didn't give it. And then the quarterback, Dart, took a few steps to the right and towards the line of scrimmage, and all of a sudden rose up and flipped it out to another running back who went for a touchdown because there was nobody there, which Lane obviously had seen them run this variation, this formation, this look, and saw what the right side of that Auburn defense was doing. There's nobody home. Okay, well, we're going to run that. And I thought that was an interesting diagram that he talked about as well. So you're right. I mean, he'll run the same play and see what you do, and if he sees something glaring, he'll go back to it with a little variation to it and hurt you with it. I wanted to talk about, the point being from the Tennessee game. I think it's going to be a really good environment inside Tiger Stadium again at 2:30, unless you fumble the opening kickoff, give them a free touchdown, then go 3 and out, punt, and allow them to run the punt down inside the 30. then you've just totally taken your crowd out of the game in a home game. That shouldn't be the case on Saturday. Those are two fluky things that aren't going to happen very often, but let's keep the defense and the crowd in the game because they can help the crowd a little bit and fire the defense up a little bit.
Yeah, no, I think, as soon as you said that, then you kind of do that in the Florida game too. So I don't want to get too ahead of the Tigers right now. Let's just get some punt returns. Let's get some kick returns. Not asking you to take it to the house like Trenton Holiday or Patrick Peterson. Let's just catch the ball. I don't know if that's asking too much right now, but I would love to just see that. A full game of us just catching returns. But, yeah, I think the atmosphere is going to be electric. Anytime you're getting a ranked opponent after a big-time win on the road like you had against Florida, there's going to be a lot of people in Tiger Stadium ready to see this team have an opportunity to go to 6-2. And you start getting to 6-2, start controlling your destiny a little bit in the West. Who knows what's going to happen in Baton Rouge? So, yeah, I'm expecting an electric atmosphere.
If they can win on Saturday, the Bama game will be really fun, and I'll be in New Orleans at my cousin's wedding.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. That's a bummer.
Shout out to Meg and Steven. Thrilled to be there.
I thought that was like banned in the South, like during Saturdays.
If you're a New Orleans family that's never been to an LSU game in your life, and it's just not where you're not your cup of tea. Just find a time when you can get into church and find the venue for the reception and whatever band you're looking for or whatever, and when it all lines up and it's Bama weekend, tough what Cousin Hunt and Uncle Rusty have to say. We're going to do the wedding this weekend, so we're going to do it. And I think there'll be a lot of people at that wedding reception kind of keeping an eye on that phone, maybe keeping the TV up, head on over to the bar. We'll see. But it's weird, and we'll talk about this in 2 weeks, but it'll be the second time in a row that Alabama has come to Tiger Stadium, and I won't be there because 2 years ago in 2020 when they played, I had COVID, so I did the pregame show from my living room table. I called Chris Blair. I said, hey, positive for COVID, can't do the pregame show from set. He goes, well, we can do it remotely via Zoom. Like, we'll just do that. So Chris brought the equipment over, left it like on my front porch, like I had like the plague, which I guess the terms that at that point it really was. Left it, and I had to go out there and like he was walking me through how to set everything up, getting the microphone figured out. So I literally did the pregame show from my kitchen table in pajamas on Zoom for the LSU Bama game 2 years ago, and now 2 years fast forward, and I will not be there for this one with COVID. But hey, pencil me in for 2024. I'll try to make it to that LSU and Bama game. We shall see plenty more on LSU and Ole Miss coming up tomorrow on a Football Friday edition of Hunt and Hill. I want to remind you we're live and local all day on Football Fridays. At 7 o'clock, the guys start you off on Off the Bench, 7 to 10. 10 o'clock, we go to Jimmy Ott's Game Time from Ruffino's. He'll be with Hanny from 10 to noon. They'll keep the same headset but flip shows at noon. It'll be Hanny and Jimmy with Hanny Time from Ruffino's from 12 to 1. We'll be with you from 1 o'clock to 3, as we always are. Matt's with you from 3 to 6. Matt hands off to Louisiana Prep Preview at 6 o'clock. Cade and his cast of thousands to get you ready for some high school football. Catholic High, 7 o'clock. That game will broadcast there. Then after that is all said and done, it'll be Louisiana Prep Scoreboard until midnight. So literally 7 a.m. to midnight tomorrow, we are wall-to-wall football all day long. So lock us in if you see fit, which I sincerely hope that you do. We'll take a timeout, come back. Best win, worst loss on the board, college and the NFL. It's next on Hunt and Hill.
104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge with Hunt and Hill.
Reliable Roofing and Construction. Check them out, reliableroofing.br.com.
Yeah, so happy to tell you guys about Reliable Roofing, a family-run, owned, and operated residential roofing company. They've been in business since 2008 with over 30 years of roofing experience.
You've got options when it comes to roofing in Baton Rouge. There's no question about that. And I heard a commercial earlier for a roofing company that was giving you 3 years after the service. Well, Reliable Roofing is going to give you 5. 5-year labor warranty. Best you can find in the marketplace when that job is done. Lionel Hayes promises when that job is done, he will come and give his stamp of approval that his crew has done the perfect job. Give you great shingle options, give you great selection and the highest quality of shingles over there at Reliable Roofing. And this month, $1,000 off that roof replacement just because it's Breast Care Awareness Month and Reliable Roofing and Construction wants to do their part. Check out on Instagram at Reliable Roofing LLC. Got some great pictures there. Or you can always go to the website. Tons of before and after stuff right there at ReliableRoofingBR.com. Reliable Roofing and Construction, ReliableRoofingBR.com.
In times of need, get a full list of phone numbers, websites, and other important emergency information on the Demco Stormwatch page at 1045ESPN.com.
There it is, the extra mile, on the border of expected and extraordinary for those willing to go further, like vans customized for work or play, with safety and tech to keep you connected, supported by a 5-star sales, service, and finance team, and backed by the 1-star you know. So go the extra mile. It's never crowded because so few have what it takes to go there. Mercedes-Benz Vans.
I'm Jay Ducote. I grew up learning how to cook at LSU tailgate parties and right in my own backyard. And I created JD's Louisiana products to bring that Louisiana flavor to you at home for your backyard cookout. JD's Louisiana barbecue sauce, Louisiana molasses mustard, spicy and sweet barbecue rub, and more are available at your local supermarkets or by logging on to jducote.com/shop. Put in promo code CST for 25% off at checkout.
Crime has serious consequences, but anyone can make a mistake. If you find yourself in trouble with the law, know that you have rights, and it's okay to demand them. The law offices of O.C. Brown are here to protect you and your rights. Felony or misdemeanor, DUI or drug charge. No matter what crime you're accused of, you still have rights. Let the law offices of O.C. Brown uphold them. Call 225-343-1111. Your law firm for a lifetime.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
ITI's got all these programs. Once I started and learned everything about the school, it was worth it.
The challenges that ITI presented me with, it allowed me to build myself up.
All because of ITI, I actually was able to get a job within 3 months before graduation in my field.
Get the hands-on training you need for the job you've always wanted. With so many companies hiring right now, it's the perfect time to come to ITI Technical College. Enroll today for a better life.
Want more customers? Running Boards Marketing can help you get their attention. Imagine your brand's message on a giant LED billboard truck that can't be skipped and is nearly impossible to ignore. Running Boards Marketing is the leader in effective and affordable advertising on digital mobile billboards, which are 2 times more effective than traditional billboards. With a 97% recall rate, you'll leave a lasting impression with your customers. Visit us online at runningboardsmarketing.com.
Jimmy Ott and Charles Henegriff for the Thursday evening edition of Game Time presented by Bet Rivers. We're downtown at Jolly Pearl Oyster Bar on north facing Town Square. Game Time, 6 to 8 p.m. presented by Bet Rivers on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
By now, you know Drop Biscuit is our podcast home here at Guarantee Media. I want you to check out dropbiscuit.com. Browse that growing library. You can go subscribe to Pops, Fame, You Talking to Me, For the People, Well Stated, whatever Southern flavored audio biscuit you may fancy. That is dropbiscuit.com. All right, we do it every week on Thursday. Best win on the board, worst loss on the board in the NFL and college football. We'll start on the college football side with the best win on the board. And look, I don't know that it's going to happen. Vegas certainly doesn't. It's a 2-touchdown line. But if Syracuse at 6-0, 3-0 in the ACC were to go to Clemson and win that game, that would be a huge win for Dino Babers and company. You look at the Syracuse team coming off a win over a quarterbackless NC State team last week. Nothing else super impressive on the rest of that resume. beat Purdue by a field goal, beat Virginia by 2 points. I don't think it's a great Syracuse team, but you go beat Clemson, that's pretty impressive, and there's only one more ranked team on your schedule the rest of the way, and that's Wake Forest. So I would bet strongly against this one happening, but if you wanted to shake things up in the ACC, Syracuse, air raid offense, going to Clemson, that would be, I think, the biggest win on the weekend for me.
Yeah, I mean, I think if any team from the ACC has one loss, you can sell that ship goodbye of them making the college football playoff. I know Clemson's always going to get that national love and national respect, but I just don't see it. I think they put an SEC one loss in overnight over a one-loss ACC team, especially when you look at even the East and the West this year. If you make it out of the East or the West with one loss, I don't see how a Syracuse with one loss or Clemson with one loss gets in. So that'll be music to my ears if that happens. So, but for me, I'm going to go with something that just makes me just sleep a lot better at night. Going with what happened in the opener last year and seeing this team undefeated this year, seeing the 7th year, what is he, 8th, maybe in his 10th season at quarterback for UCLA. But I'm going I'm going with UCLA at Oregon. If they can beat this ranked Oregon team and start their season off undefeated, I know a lot of people were pumping Utah, a lot of people were pumping USC, but UCLA will be in that catbird seat to win the Pac-12 and represent the Pac-12 in the college football playoff. They go undefeated with multiple wins over ranked opponents. I don't see how you don't give them a shot to make it to the playoff this year. So I think if UCLA can find a way to win this game, it's going to put them in the driver's seat to go to represent the Pac-12 and make it to the college football playoff. So that's the best one on the board for me, UCLA at Oregon.
I don't want to, put UCLA in the upper echelon of college football, but quite frankly, if they beat Oregon on the road, it's really difficult for me to not get them to 10-0. I mean, real difficult. Right now, you're looking at a 6-0 football team that's in consecutive weeks beaten Washington, scoring 40 points, and then beat Utah. Now, both were at home, but scored 42 points. And look, UCLA didn't have a huge home field advantage. So, look, but they're 6-0. If they beat Oregon on the road, they got Stanford, who's awful, Arizona State, who's already fired their coach, and Arizona coming up next. Sure, they could lose, but they're going to be 10-0 if they go to Oregon and win the game, and that'll set up a showdown with USC in the Rose Bowl before they go to Cal. So, I don't think anybody cares what UCLA is doing, but they're scoring a lot of points. They scored 45 on Bowling Green, 45 on Alabama State, 32 on South Alabama. That was a 1-point win, which is not great.
Crazy.
45 on Colorado, 40 on Washington, and 42 on Utah. So, Chip's guys are scoring some points. Give them some credit. That would be rather large. Worst loss in college football. You just went on the road. You lost a heartbreaker. Coming back home, licking your wounds a little bit, and here comes little old Mississippi State. Everybody and their mom's going to put all their cash on Alabama because they'll be mad, and Saban's got their attention, and they got to win out to win the national championship and all that. Mississippi State got an old quarterback. Going to run some tempo, maybe. Don't Alabama. Don't lose Mississippi State.
Yeah. No, they can't. And it seems like for Alabama, obviously, this is probably one of the worst matchups
you could have. Throwing on Alabama.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. This is one of the worst, scary matchups. I'm an Alabama fan. I'm not like thinking, this is just how we're just going to Bama everyone. Like, that secondary is
they're not Bama-ing anyone.
Yeah, no, they're not. That secondary, I haven't seen the Bama secondary this bad in a very, very long time. And I know Joe Burrow lit them on fire, but they had Trayvon Diggs and Pat Surtain on the outside that year. And that's just, to me, this year is just not it.
That team was so good. It's terrifying how good. And so anyone who's trying to put Tennessee in that category now, just pipe down.
Yeah.
I'll give you 2 months to have fun, but come on now.
No, that's an NFL roster that they were playing with 19. Let's just not go there. But even still, you saw what they were doing to that Bama secondary, and they had NFL corners out there. So, but it's not the case for Alabama this year. So if you're going against that air raid, who any given Saturday they can light you on fire, and who knows when that Saturday is going to come, I would not be licking my chops about this matchup. But for me, worst loss of the week, I'm going to go with America's team, Ohio State Buckeyes. Just all the love in the world, the Heisman favorite, the best team in the country. They haven't played and beat a ranked opponent. I know Notre Dame started ranked, but I think we can kind of look back and see like Notre Dame just isn't that great. And they got wins over Michigan State, Wisconsin, Arkansas State, Toledo, Rutgers. Not moving my needle. But they get the mighty Iowa Hawkeyes, who's 3-3 and 1-2 in the Big Ten. don't lose to Iowa. You just cannot lose to Iowa at home. There's no way that can happen. So, yeah, I'm going to go worst loss. If Ohio State loses to a bad Iowa team, that's the worst loss on the board.
If you are a total sicko and just looking for 5 minutes to kill during your day, go look at Iowa's offensive stats. It is truly amazing to be that bad. They scored 7 on South Dakota State. They scored 7 on Iowa State. They scored 6 on Illinois. It's real bad. They are atrocious on the offensive side of the ball. So, yeah, if you talk about one of the most explosive offenses in college football, laying an egg and losing in the shoe to Iowa, that would be very much not good. All right, best win in the NFL. I will let you go first. Best win in the National Football League this weekend.
I'm going to go with the San Francisco 49ers. They're getting the Chiefs at home. They're luckily somehow in first place in the NFC West right now with a 3-3 team and losing to the Falcons on the road. Like, I don't know what's going on. I guess Arthur Smith's crushing those Bud Light with the big hog mollies and getting them going a little bit there.
The boys are cold pop.
Yeah, but I'm gonna go with the Niners because the Chiefs coming off that loss, and I don't know the stat off the top of my head, but I can probably count on one time like how many times Mahomes just lost back-to-back weeks. So I think they'll be fired up to get back going to their winning ways. But if the Niners somehow with a struggling Jimmy G right now, somehow find a way to beat the Chiefs at home and get back going and 4-3 and lead the NFC West, I think for me that's probably the best win on the board.
It is a very good win. It's officially late October now. October 20th. It qualifies as late October. I would have never thought I would have had this as my best win possible on the board, but it's hard to argue. If the Giants can go to Jacksonville and win,
my goodness.
all of a sudden, you got Seattle, Houston, and Detroit as your next 3? Yeah. It's week to week in this league. Anybody can knock you off on a given day, but I like my chances if I'm a Giants fan. If I'm sitting here 5-1, I can go to Jacksonville and win to get to 6-1, and then Seattle, Houston, and Detroit are waiting. You can start to make it pretty difficult mathematically to screw this up.
Yeah, most definitely.
So it's a road game. Jacksonville has been tough, at least. If the Giants can go down there and win, that would be huge, I think.
Yeah, I think you're seeing the parity that the NFL is trying to create coming full display with the Giants. Yeah, with the Giants, because you're getting all these top 5 picks. They just got Thibodeau, who seems like he's an edge rusher you're going to have to look out for. You're constantly getting all these picks, and then you're playing the worst team in each respective division in the NFC, and they're going to get that schedule down the slate of this season. So, yeah, Giants are definitely shocking me. But like I said, I'm going to need to see a healthy probably 13, maybe 14, depending on how things go here. So I don't believe it. I'm not sold quite yet. So
worst loss on the board.
Worst loss, Mr. Sharp. I got to throw your boys in there, man. You can't get Dak back into the starting lineup and lose to the 1-4 Detroit Lions, biting kneecaps off, hard knock crybabies.
Coach Campbell.
You can't do it. And you talk about quarterback controversy. I know my man Gordy's cousin had 3 picks last week, but if Dak loses at home to the lowly Detroit Lions, that will be the worst loss in football. And I can't wait to tune in to Stephen A if that happens. It's going to be glorious.
You add the layers to when you add that Dak's coming back, you add another layer to that game. But Taylor Sharp, I want to ask you your concern level, 10 being utterly terrified and 1 being I may not even watch the game, we're going to win by 50. Where's your concern level for Dak coming back in the Lions?
About a 6. It would be more if it wasn't the Lions. The Cowboys are going to win this game, but yeah, I'm concerned about Dak more than I am the Lions.
All right, so that's fair enough. My worst loss, this team is not doing well. They're dysfunctional. There's issues. They're not playing well. They've had injuries. The Bucs, they're going to Carolina. Carolina stinks. I can't believe the Saints went up there and played the way they did, but that just maybe says more about the Saints. I can easily envision a world where Carolina wins this game, especially if there's not really anybody there, kind of a sleepy environment. It's not going to be one of those deals like where San Francisco invaded Carolina and it was just a red crowd. I don't think a lot of people from Tampa are going up to Charlotte. So that would be awful. And it would not surprise me because I just am not buying what the Bucs are selling right now.
Yeah, I mean, when things go wrong, they can go all the way wrong. And the NFL is such a momentum league. You rarely see a team win, lose, and then go out and do something special. You normally catch fire at some point, and the Bucks have really struggled to do that. And you normally see teams kind of rally when you kind of get that cancerous guy out of the locker room. And for them, that was Robbie Anderson when he's, barking all offseason, we don't want Baker, we don't want Baker. Then he's cursing out coaches and just causing a huge scene there. And then you get that guy out of the locker room. Normally, guys like, all right, guys, let's get this thing rolling now. We got guys who believe in us, and we got guys and all this yada, yada, yada stuff. And we'll see. But, if the Bucks lose to the worst team on the power rankings, that definitely, you definitely got the right case. That's the worst loss in football.
All right, we'll take a timeout, come back and wrap up a Thursday edition of Hunt and Hill.
This is Hunt and Hill on 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Fresh Junkie Racing, this month's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
Yeah, Fresh Junkie Racing is a group of racing enthusiasts that have taken their love of running and built a business providing citizens across the state a way to get moving and stay moving. Created by athletes for athletes, Fresh Junkie Racing hosts world-class racing events and triathlons right here in Louisiana, welcoming crowds from across the globe to experience this place we call home.
18 events every single year, including the Louisiana Marathon for Fresh Junkie Racing. That marathon raises more than $5 million in terms of our economy here in the state. And if you're looking for something to do in the morning on Thanksgiving, which is coming up pretty quick here, Baton Rouge Turkey Trot, Thanksgiving morning, Tammany Turkey Trot, and also the Our Lady of the Lake Tiger 10K in December, on December the 4th. It finishes inside Tiger Stadium, so you want to check that out. Fresh Junkie, helping the economy here in our great state, keeping people moving and shaking, like Jeremy said, keeping people fit, and that's why they're the champion of Louisiana this month. If you got a Louisiana business person, nonprofit that we should be telling their story, we'd love to. Go to lwcc.com/Louisiana Loyal. Right there, you can nominate a business person, nonprofit, to be a champion of Louisiana. Fresh Junkie Racing, October's champion of Louisiana, presented by LWCC.
Professional golfers John Peterson and J.J. Colleen answer all your golf and life questions inside the new Drop Biscuit Studios podcast for the people. Download or subscribe today at dropbiscuit.com.
Before we begin any electrical work here, we perform a home safety check that begins at your electrical panel to make sure that you and your family are safe. For all your upgrades, installations, and repairs, call Mr. Electric.
Order curbside pickup online or with Rouse's Market Shopping app and let Rouse's personal shopper shop for you. Curbside pickup is free and you pay the same price for groceries as in-store. Use code SAINTS20 and save $20 on orders of $100 or more. That's curbside convenience. Shopper style.
Oh, yeah! Gulf Coast Office Products is a nationally recognized Savin office equipment dealer based right here in Louisiana. Over 100 employees strong, Gulf Coast has the boots on the ground to support all vertical markets from education, engineering, legal, and finance. With the latest in office technology from desktop to production segment units, Gulf Coast and Savin have the perfect fit for you. Call 225-756-2644. That's 756-2644 for Gulf Coast Office Products.
I've been doing business with Luba for 25 years. They're dependable, trustworthy. It's just the attention to detail with our clients.
Our folks have years and years of experience. They're highly trained professionals, but many companies have that asset. What I'd like to think makes Luba a bit different is that we use those talents in a way that truly is dedicated to serving the needs of the folks who depend on us.
Oh, hey, what's up? It's Big D and Bubba, 100.7 The Tiger Morning Show. We'd love for you to join us every weekday, 4 a.m. till 9 a.m.
Yeah, everything you want in a show. Country music. We got laughs. We got celebrity in-studio guests. We just need you.
Join us every weekday morning, 4 a.m. to 9 a.m., right where it all started.
That's right. Louisiana's country station, 100.7 The Tiger.
This isn't just another day. It's so much more. Kelly's life was put on hold when her auctioneer primary care doctor discovered a rare blood disorder. Her doctor connected her to an auctioneer care team of cancer, heart, and kidney specialists. With multiple primary care locations around Baton Rouge, same-day appointments, and online scheduling, we're relentless about keeping you healthy.
On Friday's OTB, did the Saints manage to right the ship, or will we be crying Houdat tears? Either way, the Pels are there to make you feel better. So come kick off Football Friday with OTB 104.5 ESPN.
Hunt and Hill, 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge.
Closing up shop here, a little take it or leave it. I'll crank things up. The Division I Transformation Committee has had a dialogue to expand the NCAA basketball tournament, including some others, to 25% of the programs who are eligible. That would put that basketball tournament at about 88 teams. Take it or leave it.
I'm going to leave this because the net already makes my brain hurt. I couldn't imagine more teams being involved with the net and then more teams being on the bubble. I think, was it like 60-something right now?
68.
68? Yeah, I think that's a healthy amount of teams that kind of creates the competition level that you want throughout a season, because now you're adding more teams, and then now what? You win 10 SEC games, you're good to go. Like, yeah, we made it. Like,
you'd absolutely be in 10-8, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I love that. I know it's going to create a little more tension on the stretch of the season, but especially for college basketball, I just think that's way too many teams.
It's 10 more games. Is it the end of the world? No. Do I support it? No. I didn't support going from 64 to 65. I didn't support going from 65 to 68. I think that's a big waste of time, but it's a money grab, and you can go to Dayton and put games on TV for 2 days, and they like that, and it allows 4 more teams the ability to get in, and everybody likes that, and it's just, you follow the money, and it's always the money. It's conference realignment money. It's basketball growing that money, expanding the NFL playoffs, the NBA playoffs, the MLB playoffs. It's all for money, and that's just the way things always go. So I'm not for it either, but it is what it is.
All right, here. Tom Kim, he jumped into a PGA presser to ask Roy McIlroy, what's it like having so much success as a young player, and how do you manage all that? With Roy joking back saying he has not had as much success as Kim as a young player. Are you taking or leaving? More PGA golfers should be jumping in these pressers asking questions.
I'll leave that. We'll leave that to the writers. But Tom Kim is a big personality. He had a huge kind of coming out party in the President's Cup. He's won twice, and Rory's answer to him was, I'm looking at your shirt and your hat. You got 5 sponsors. That's all great, but you got to worry about your time, and you got to worry about practicing, because if you don't, you lose your game a little bit. And that was it. But Tom Kim's a great personality. He's a really good player, and that was a cool little moment for him to jump in there and do that in the press conference. Albert Breal of NBC Sports reports a little bit of a strain between Mac Jones and the Patriots coaching staff, with them saying the young quarterback not happy with the direction of the offense, with Joe Judge, Matt Patricia calling the shots. Quarterback controversy, offensive controversy, whole lot of controversy. Take it or leave it in New England.
Yeah, I have to take that. I think anytime you got the immortal Bailey Zappi coming in, winning football games.
Zappy hour.
Yeah, and then you got Bill, who has no conscience for who you are. He doesn't care if you got 8 Super Bowls. He's got to put the best guy he thinks is in there to win football games. And so anytime you spend a first-round pick on a quarterback who kind of thought it's going to be the next Brady, which I just think is blasphemous. Let's not go there. Okay, let's just calm down on that. I think there's always going to be controversy in New England, especially with Bill running the show. And then you got special teams coordinator and a defensive coach calling plays on offense. I don't think any young quarterback is nipping at the bit to kind of get going that way offensively. So we'll see how it plays out. I think especially with an injured Mac Jones, I think they're going to ride with Zappi as long as they can and kind of figure out what they do after that. All right, last one here. You'll like this one. Commanders backup quarterback Taylor Heineke. He said when getting word starting quarterback Carson Wentz would miss time with a broken finger, he said he had to pretend he did not hear it because he had full plans of playing golf in Norfolk, Virginia. Are you taking or leaving? Skipping out on an NFL start to play some golf?
I guess I'm forced to leave it, but I don't like it. I would like to take it. Look, backup QBs, I love you. Chase Daniel, that's a hell of a career. Very limited concussions and injuries, wear on the body. Grab a hat for Sundays, hang out on the sideline, and play some golf. Work on that short game. Dial in that 6-iron. Work on the feather cut. You're going to have to work on that punch out around trees, flop shots, bunker shots, flight the ball up and down. That's what it's really about. It's really not about playing for the Commanders. It's about learning how to dial that golf game in maybe get that cap to a good spot and win the club championship. That's what it's about. So Heineke, I feel you, dog. But we'll see. I don't think it's going to work out for you. You might have to go get your skull bashed in playing NFL football, which is not necessarily as much fun as being on the golf course. All right, we're going to shut it down here pretty quickly here. But first, Jeremy, your thoughts on the Saints and the Cardinals out west tonight. You got a winner and a score?
I'm going to go with the Saints. I just think the Cardinals, and they screwed me last week. I don't know why I took the Cardinals in any sort of football bet, but I don't know. I was pumping Kyler for some odd reason. I got the Saints winning this one. I'll go 25-17.
25?
Saints winning by, some field goals in there, kicking some field goals in there. Yeah, I got the Saints 25-17.
I kicked this one around back and forth. Didn't feel great about it. The Saints are just crippled. They don't have their playmakers on offense on the outside. Missing some offensive line now, and the secondary without Lattimore. It is what it is. And the Cardinals are not very good either. This is 2-4s, and on Thursday night, who knows what's going to happen. But I'm going to take the Cardinals in this one. I will take them by a final score of 20-13. That's my pick, and I hope I'm wrong. I hope the Saints go out there and win the ball game, but I just don't have a lot of confidence in this team on a short week with travel as banged up as they are. Is going to go out there and score a bunch of points. So I will take the Cardinals, and we'll be back with you on a Football Friday tomorrow. If you missed any of today's show, you can catch it at 1045.com on demand. Just hit the On Demand tab, scroll down to Hunt and Hill, and you can find all our stuff right there. You can also find it on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, on YouTube as well. Anywhere you find your audio day-to-day, you can find our stuff there. Just search Hunt and Hill. Like, subscribe, rate, review. We like all of that. LSU Ole Miss preview to start things off. Two good guests in the first hour. Nick Suss on the Rebels of Ole Miss, and Luke from out in Arizona. Saints-Cardinals at the beginning of hour number 2. Some Ole Miss run game in hour number 2 as well. And as always, our best win and worst loss in college football and the NFL before Take It or Leave It. Matt's going to drive you home here from 3 to 6 on After Further Review. We'll see you tomorrow. It's Hunt and Hill.
Hold down the middle of the day. This is Hunt and Hill.
Start NFL Week 7 off with a no-sweat same-game parlay from FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Doesn't matter if you're new to FanDuel or already have an account, you'll get free bets back if your Thursday night same-game parlay doesn't hit. NFL same-game parlay is a perfect way to combine your bets for a chance for an even bigger payday.
Saints 2.5-point underdogs tonight. If you're a black and gold fan that's really feeling your squad, plus 120 on the money line sounds pretty good if the Saints can go win. Got an odds super boost right here. DeAndre Hopkins to score a touchdown and have 60-plus receiving yards against the Saints, plus 320 coming back on Nuke. Check it out with the promo code 1045ESPN. Don't already have an account? You do have one for FanDuel? You're all set. Sign in and see what you got. Must be 21 and present in Louisiana. First online real money wager only. 3 legs minimum, 1 bet required. Refund issues non-withdrawable free bet that expires in 7 days after receipt. Max free bet $5. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. If you're someone who knows the gambling problem and wants help, call 1-877-770-STOP.
At Auctioneer, we know healing is a team sport.